Hello divas, dudes and dolls, I'm Caricatura and welcome back to my rip-roaring and raucous little review show, Very Slay, where we go over each and every main stage runway look on Drag Race Espana Season 4. So this week was Snatch Game, paired with a rural fashion week runway. So we saw lots of neutral tones, lots of farming things incorporated into looks, lots of things you'd find just in the general Spanish countryside, down to the fabric choices, lots of gingham, lots of plaid, lots of burlap, lots of different types of textiles here. And we have some pretty fun looks out of it, I think. I thought this was an overall very strong runway. For those who are unfamiliar with how the show works, when we get into these looks, if I think that it met the brief, got the job done, but it wasn't anything fascinating, we give it an okay. If I absolutely adored it, we give it a slay. And if I think this week's rural look served more country bumpkin than anything, we give it a nay. And that's all in efforts to find my weekly slay of the day, my favorite look of the whole episode. Whichever look takes that title today will go head to head up against our current slay of the season, which is La Niña de Lantro's Barrococo look from episode 2. And I will be illustrating whichever look holds that title at the end of the season. Sneak peeks of said illustration and any other pieces I'm working on will be coming to the Patreon starting at the $3 tier level. But you can also join as a free member to join in for discussion posts about all of the episodes. And I'm very behind on Espana. I've only done episode 1 and we are on now episode 5. So I promise I will get caught up at some point, hopefully this week. Espana is my big one I'm working on getting done next, so that will be the next one that comes. So I'm hoping that that will be through episode 5 around the time this episode drops, probably the same day afterwards. But be sure to head over there, join on to see all of that. But if you want another way you can support for free, you can always just like, comment, and subscribe, all those lovely little things. It's all greatly appreciated because we have a lot of seasons we're covering at the moment, and Canada is getting their next cast reveal this week. I am already so tired thinking about adding in another one to the mix, but we're gonna do it. Yahoo! But with business taken care of, let's switch over and start checking them out. Alrighty, first up we have Miss Krista, who unfortunately after her second time in the bottom 2, but what a look to go out on. This look that is full of crocheted pieces as a garment is stunning. This is Fashion Week ready. Like, this is such an art piece. Honestly, there's something about it that's very Tom Brown to me. Specifically the one show, this was from like 16 or 17, where it was like a wedding and there was a huge horse at the end of it. This kind of gives me that a little bit, but the piecemeal nature of parts of it also kind of gives me a little Maison Margiela vibes. The headpiece / wig being a wasp nest mixed in with that. This whole look, going back to the Maison Margiela, no, because of the whole presentation and the headpiece and everything, there is something that's like a little campy about it that takes me into more of like that Maison Margiela direction because of John Galliano, and that was so much of his stuff from Dior was this like really specifically themed costumey work that I absolutely adored. This is what that overall gives me. Really successful look. Everything about this is wonderful. This is a slay. Up next we have Maggie. Props to her for doing some color on the runway this week. But Diva, this is awful. This is horrible. I hate this hairstyle on her. I think the scale and the balance of it is wrong. The outfit is all kinds of horrible. The little wing cages with the flowers, I think you could have done that as like a hip bustle and done something with it and made it a little more interesting. But making them wings, there wasn't enough structure, so they were just flopping around. And this whole look, to me, is awful. It's just ugly. It's so ugly. Far and away, this is the worst look on the runway by a country mile. Nay. Absolutely a nay. Then up next we have Angelita La Perversa, who's doing this little Dior new look moment. I actually really like this. Really classic silhouette on one side and then adding the asymmetry in terms of balance and having all these other fabrics built on top of it that has almost like this jacket blazer situation and this like structured tiered skirt and like coattail almost with all this gingham. I think it looks really cool. I think it looks better standing still than it does in movement, and it is one of the more simpler looks on the runway, but I do enjoy it. I am gonna give it an okay this week. Then we have La Niña de Lantro, who's giving us a cute little veiled mouse. Now, she starts off in an apron, and the apron is fine on its own. I think it is cute. Her makeup is amazing as always. I love the little whiskers as well that she's got put onto the face, but The silhouette of this dress, granted it's because she's corseted, her body shape is so correct in this gown. Like, the silhouette of it is phenomenal. I love the dress underneath it. I do wish it was a little bit shorter so it just hit the knee, because it comes past the knee a little bit too much. So it cuts the leg off in a weird spot, makes her leg look a little short, and she's already one of the more petite girls in the competition. So I think that that's just a bit of a disservice to herself in that regard. But I like it. I think it's successful, but it's not anything incredible. I'm gonna give it an okay. Then up next we have Chloe Vuitton. This is easily the best runway she's had all season. The back piece of this kind of reminds me of the look that Iman wore to the Met Gala a few years ago, where she had like that big feather headpiece and the tiered skirt. It's like that, but made out of bread and wheat, which I think is quite fun. This is the most complete idea, top to bottom, and the most complete presentation, top to bottom, that we've seen from her across the entire season. I think this was a really strong week for her in the runway department. I was kind of surprised she wasn't in the top, but I do think she was a clear 4th for this week. It's gonna be a slide. Then up next we have Vampirasian, and she really is true to her roots of these very period accurate pieces. And I had no idea that she wasn't wearing heels until Anna pointed it out in critiques, because she carried herself with such a dignity that I was so caught up in the look itself and the overall presentation that I didn't even notice the shoes. I don't mind it, honestly. I don't think you have to wear heels all the time to do drag. Does it feminize the shape? Sure. Yes. Does it make you stand and move differently? Yes. But I think she's a talented enough actress that she can move through any type of shoe and still sell it. I love the sleeve. I love the garment overall here. The construction's really solid. The skirt is gorgeous. I loved like the little nods to her family with the photos sewn into the skirt, the burn treatment along the hem and the little holes to also go back into her family story. This really was like a really sweet and lovely love letter to her roots and her family. So I really appreciated at least the concept of it. I think it is simple in terms of silhouettes, construction, and just the overall look itself, but it's clean and it's successful. And I think it also kind of is in the same lane as Angelita's, in where it's like a period accurate fashion reference. Vampy's look is so much stronger and it's so much more cohesive as an idea. So it's a slide for me. Then up next we have Le Coco. This is divine. Like, this is phenomenal. And this is the idea of something that could have been kind of hokey, but taken into such a fashion direction. I love the idea of using the hair as a bird's nest and having the golden eggs in there. This is really editorial. The overall silhouette here is really, really cool. I love the little fringy straw cape. The coat's neat. I love the construction on the dress and the piece underneath of it. This is like immaculate work. Whoever made this, top marks to them, because it's phenomenal. This is a slay. And then wrapping up this runway, we have our challenge winner, Mariana Stars, who's giving us cow. Mariana Stars. I love it. I loved the silhouette of this dress. I think the dress itself is just absolutely gorgeous. And I think the bull horns out of hair is a fun idea. The giant nose ring is also fun. I will say, while I appreciated the statement she made on the runway with the meat bodysuit underneath it and the blood, I honestly felt that was kind of unnecessary. I think it would have been more interesting to have the two kind of combined had she come out in front being like this like front facing really cute, gorgeous, glamorous cow, and then from the back it's the meat and she's kind of shredded up and taken for parts, and you know, and then when you see it from behind there's more of that like storytelling moment of just the reveal of the turn. I think that could have been more exciting, and it could have allowed for more to be done with the look underneath, because the look underneath is just kind of ho-hum. But I think it's really successful either way. It is a slay from me. And it's time to pick now our slay of the day this week, and for me, it is 1000%, without a doubt, going to Le Coco this week. I think she far and away smoked everyone else on the runway. There were a few other strong looks. I liked Vampy's, I liked Mariana's. Really the only three that I wasn't like over the moon, like excited and wowed by were Angelita, La Nina, and Maggie's. Everything else I thought was phenomenal. But La Coco's was just on another level of phenomenal compared to everything else. Great week for her. I loved her snatch game as well as Anna locking. I thought it was very funny. And now it's time to put her look up against our current slay of the season to determine who is going to hold that top spot going into next week. Now again, ultimately this look is going to be the one that I draw, that I'm gonna make an art piece out of. And I think both of these looks would make for some really stunning pieces. And La Coco's look kind of scares me. There's so many lines I'd have to deal with. So much line work, just in the coat alone. All this fringy element. I hate drawing fringe, but for this look, I'll make an exception. For me, this is the best look of the season so far. La Coco is going to take that top spot. We'll see if there's a look that comes later that makes me want to draw that one even more, or would be a relief from all the fringe. Who knows? We'll just have to find out next week or in the remainder of the season. There's plenty of time. As always, thanks for watching. We will see you in the next one. Be sure again to like, comment, and subscribe, all those lovely little things. And be sure to go out there, y'all. Stay kind, stay queer, and make sure that your day is very slay.